The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision. Today's guest and their company are not affiliated with or endorsed by LPL Financial.
All right. So for people who don't really know much about you or what you do, how do you explain it typically?
It's kind of complicated. People ask me all the time, "Hey Tim, what do you do? What do you do for a living?" Do lots of different things. So I wear several different hats. So it's hard to know. Well, what do I say first? Am I a developer? Am I a real estate investor? Am I a real estate agent? Am I a bar owner? Used to own Firehouse Fitness.
Right.
And so I call myself a chronic entrepreneur.
Okay.
So it's a disorder. I have it. Josh Rader has it.
Yeah. There's a few people running around town with this affliction. Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So
which part of those hats or those descriptions are you really the most excited about right now?
it's always been real estate.
Really?
I bought my first duplex when I was 18.
Oh, wow.
Did most of the renovations myself, so I learned early. My parents were in the rental business, so I learned from them the good and the bad, and kind of learned how to do it better.
Yeah.
And smarter. And so by the time I was 36, I had accumulated quite a bit of residential rental property.
Okay.
But then I also had some regular jobs too, and that's what led me to really know that I can't work for anybody else. I was a probation officer at Taylor County.
You're a probation
I
officer?
was.
Oh, you were a probation officer? Really?
Yeah, graduated from college with a political science degree.
Okay.
And then I was a probation officer there for 6 years.
What years?
That would have been 91, 92-ish.
Okay.
Early 90s.
Okay.
And did not like that job at all.
Amazing that.
We were micromanaged, and you definitely can't be creative in a position like that. And then a lot of it was negative interaction with people. So I started exploring, looking for ways to expand the rental business and accumulate more rental properties.
Gotcha.
So that I could venture out and just do that.
Yeah.
And eventually that's what I did.
What was that kind of tipping point for you? Was it like you had a set number of properties that you're like, okay, I need to have X amount to be under me, and then I can kind of be free to do whatever I'm looking to do?
It's exactly what I did.
What was your early goal on that?
Gosh, it was 20 units.
Okay.
And so I think I built it up to 60 units. And that was, some of those were duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, multi-units, single homes. So it was a variety. And typically lower end properties that where people would owner finance them for me, or they needed a lot of work. So I put a lot of sweat equity into them. In my early 20s, I crawled under a lot of houses, redoing the plumbing and doing the roofing myself and sheetrock and all the things.
What was that? There was certainly, I'm sure, a point when you stopped being the one who was underneath the house. What was that kind of moment for you, or what was that?
I have arrived.
Yeah.
I don't have to do that anymore.
I'm imagining, though, that first year of doing that was just gut-wrenching every time you got a bill. Where you're like, I mean, when you have the skills, it's hard to break past. It's like, I know what I could do, but man, I really just... I'm going to let you do it.
When I had the 60 units, people would always say, why don't you hire a property manager? I still did it all.
Really?
And I was like, what am I going to do all day?
Sure.
If I don't manage my own properties.
Right.
So I couldn't fathom, not being hands-on.
Yeah.
And so I always managed them myself.
Right.
And then, that's when Firehouse Fitness came into the picture, and that building on South 7th was the first commercial property that I ever bought.
Okay.
So
I think you're mostly more known maybe around town now as the commercial guy.
Right.
Like, I mean, that's definitely been so. So what year was that when you started Firehouse and kind of started doing
Gosh, that would have been 13, 14 years ago probably.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So how did that evolve, though, where you decided, hey, I'm going to jump into this business space?
I had the rental properties. I had a flexible schedule. I could dictate what I do every day. So I had the freedom, but I was bored. And again, when you're a landlord and a property owner, there's a lot of negative interaction. And for me, that wore on me. I wanted to do something more positive. And I would always gravitate towards these distressed properties.
Sure.
And want to,
because of the opportunity.
Yes, want to give them some love and improve them. That creative side wanted to come out and do something worthwhile and that would show a visible difference. And so I was like, okay, what can I do that? And we lived over on Riverside Park near Firehouse Fitness, and I'd drive by that building every day. I was like, God, that building's ugly. Wish somebody needs to buy it and fix it up.
Right.
Windows started getting broken out because it had sat vacant for a while after that adult daycare center had closed.
Yeah.
And so I bought it, not knowing at all what I would do with it. Had no clue.
Really?
Just bought it.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, well, this is going to be my project. And then I let it evolve and, decided I was into fitness and was like, oh, I'm going to open a gym.
Okay.
And I got told that I was crazy. That was a terrible location for that. Blah, blah, blah. All the naysaying.
Right.
That accompanies anybody that's doing anything. The only people that are criticized are people doing things.
Right.
And so I was one of those. And and so I did it anyway. I put blinders on and just do my thing. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, I will shift and pivot and do something else.
Do you have anyone who's kind of a bellwether for you that when that person's really against an idea, you're like, oh, I'm on to something here?
I'm trying to think if I do. Yes, actually I do. They will remain nameless, but I do.
Yeah. Well, it's an important kind of thing. You're always going to be hearing the negative criticism, like you're saying. You're always going to have people saying, it's not going to work with any idea. And you can either listen or you can be like, okay, well, I trusted my gut here and there.
Right.
That worked okay. Doesn't always work, for sure.
No, definitely. I've got stories there too.
Okay.
But, Firehouse Fitness was very successful. And my wife and I operated it for 7 years. And then again, I got bored. I wanted another project.
Right.
And we bought the building downtown in the Soda District. So I was at a crossroads where, okay, with my time, where do I want to spend my time? What do I want to focus on? I was bored with operating the gym. Still loved it, and it was a business I was proud of. But that's when we decided to sell it so that I could focus more on the Soda District project.
So when you started the Soda District project, was it similar to how you started Firehouse, where you kind of bought before coming up with a fully fleshed out idea, and it was just, or was it something that you had envisioned first?
The Soda District was no vision at all. I wanted to build a non-traditional home within the walls of that condemned building.
Okay.
That was it. That's
Really?
as far as the vision went.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until we moved in that vision started to come of, oh, this area has a lot of potential.
Right.
This could be something.
Yeah.
And but again, we were surrounded by vacant properties in that area. I grew up here, born and raised in Abilene. I'd never in my life ever noticed that building.
Yeah.
So
it's easy to do, to find kind of pockets. You'll go down to a side street you hadn't been down before, and you're like, I didn't even know this neighborhood was here.
Yep.
Didn't know this area was here. How long were you living in the Soda District in that building?
So it took me a year to do the house.
Sure.
And during construction, again, people thought I was crazy.
Right.
And then I started working on the courtyard, which was just going to be our backyard. We have a Great Pyrenees and a Wolf Husky mixed dog, and that was just going to be their yard.
Yeah.
But we got it all lit and beautiful in there, and then people started driving by and looking through that gate. I noticed people were circling the property in their cars, bringing relatives that were visiting from out of town.
Really?
So we met a lot of people just by, hey, what is this?
Yeah.
you know. And then somebody asked if they could do a fundraiser in the courtyard. And I said yes, and they had live music. We've done so many events there, I couldn't even tell you which one that was.
Yeah.
But that I looked at my wife and I said, I think we just opened a venue.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we did. And
that's cool.
Mostly wedding venue, but we've done all sorts of events in there.
As of right now, no one's come by my house and said, "This looks like a great backyard to do an event."
We had to keep the doors locked. You know, it was such an unusual home that people thought it was a business.
Right.
So if you didn't, we had to make sure we locked that door every time, or somebody's coming in.
Really, yeah.
You know, and we would forget, and occasionally somebody would be standing right in our living room. Oh, hi.
Luckily, that hasn't happened either. So my complaints are withdrawn completely.
So it was fun, but once we started the venue, we didn't want to live there anymore.
Sure.
Because our business was literally our backyard.
Yeah.
And you had live music thumping all the time back there, which is great.
Right.
We can't complain because we did it. We made it happen.
Right.
And,
you're your own worst neighbors. Yeah.
And so we moved. And then used that as an Airbnb for a while.
Okay.
And,
so how much work have you done with the Soda District since? Has it been,
a lot. You know, there's probably a group of 5 or 6 investors total in that whole area.
Really?
Yep. You know, when I started doing the house, that was the first project. And then Stanton and Blake, that own Amendment 21, they started renovating the Nichols Battery building at the same time I started doing the other building behind the venue to make that the indoor space for Soda District Courtyard.
Okay.
And so we kind of collaborated together. And then I think I said, well, if y'all buy the Stairs Club building, I'll buy the one next to it, where KO Lounge is located now.
Oh, okay.
And so they bought the Stairs Club building, I bought the Oak Street building, and we just started going.
Yeah.
And then Lynn Beal is the one that kind of decided to take that risk and build residential over there. And he's finishing up the other 5. He built 5 and then waited, and now he's doing the other 5. And I have those under contract. The 3 that are being built are already sold.
Wow.
So it's gone really well, but that was risky.
Yeah.
Very risky.
Very risky. Well, you wanted to live there, so other people may.
Yeah. And they do.
Yeah.
And they do.
And they do.
There is a market for urban living that's a little non-traditional.
Yeah. And you didn't stay just in the Soda District, too. You also extended out to other parts of downtown.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that was through Peacock?
Peacock Patio, yep. 542 Hickory. And again, another project that was a little riskier, not something most people would do. You'd take a funeral home and turn one side into a bar and the other side into the offices. But it's worked, you know.
Yeah.
And we did recently sell that.
Right.
And I have ADD. I don't ever do anything forever. So I'm not going to be the guy that works at a company for 40 years.
Right.
So I reinvent myself every 7 to 10 and do something totally different.
Yeah. I'm guessing now, though, that whenever you start a lot of these ventures, you're kind of already making that part of the plan. I would assume, where it's like, hey, how can I start this and also have it ready to sell and build something to sell in about 5 to 7 years or so? Is that correct?
It is, and there's always a strategy going in these days. You know, with that property, what we liked is the proximity to Doubletree Hotel.
Yeah.
It had been vacant for a while. I would call it a distressed property. Wasn't likely anybody was going to run and buy it. But I liked where it was located. I felt like that was a good long-term investment. You know, and if we can make a business and some money on the way, let's do it. Yeah. You know, the bar, semi-successful. You know, we sold it because there were 4 partners and none of us wanted to take the lead and do the day-to-day for a bar. The office side, our offices stayed completely full. Yeah. We had ended up with, I think, all female entrepreneurs.
Really?
Hair salons, 4 licensed counselors upstairs, anestheticians, massage therapists. So I always called it ladies spa offices. It was great. Had a good feel in there. Just a good culture, I should say.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So with how much work that you've put into downtown, as well as how much the city has, why do you think that Abilene continues to kind of spread or not develop as much downtown as we might be expecting?
I think it's West Texas culture. Everybody wants further out and do their own thing in their own space. It's a little harder to get everybody on the same page to do downtown development and for everybody to consider downtown as the heartbeat of the city, which, there's been some frustrations with that. Because you can't just keep expanding out and out and out forever.
Right.
Or you'll create the donut hole that Abilene has seen and experienced. We're filling it in over the last decade. But, in the 80s when I was in high school, I don't remember downtown Abilene at all.
Really?
I think I went to the Paramount once, but it wasn't a hub. It didn't attract people. When the Grace came in and some of those things started happening, and Cypress Street, you started getting some anchors, then downtown started to be something. But it wasn't good for a long time.
Wow.
And you need private sector, you need public-private partnership to make it all happen.
Do you anticipate one of your future projects being some of these that are kind of going out in their own space, kind of in the way that you're saying that these other businesses are doing? Or do you want to continue to focus on downtown, nightlife, communal spaces?
Yeah, I would love to see downtown to continue to grow and thrive as the population grows. Because at the end of the day, if you're not growing, you're dying. And I know some people will argue with that train of thought, but that's my take on it.
Right.
If you're not growing, you're dying. Yeah. So we're competing with every other community in Texas and in this country we want people to move here and make it home and invest in our city. And so I'm all about the growth and I particularly like revitalization.
Yeah.
That's creative revitalization.
Yeah,
is what I'm about.
When you're revitalizing it and kind of using these older spaces, you're keeping that history alive. The second that you kind of lock it or keep it stagnant, that's done.
Yep.
It's dead. It's a museum.
Yep, for sure.
And so, with the ways that it's kind of changing, it's been pretty amazing to see over even the last, like you're saying, 10 years or so.
Yeah, and even though people were skeptical about the soda district, and it's been 2 steps forward, 1 step back. We had COVID and businesses came in, shut down. It's literally been 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but the forward progress is still there.
Yeah. And
when you look back at that area over the last 7 years, it's night and day. There's businesses in these buildings. These buildings have been renovated and renovated nicely. So it's completely different than it was when I bought that one condemned property.
Yeah.
And the landscape has changed.
If you had kind of a magic wand, what would you add to that area that you think that would kind of solidify or really lock in people more to those areas?
Well, and just in downtown in general, I would love to see more residential, like you see in some of the bigger cities. And we've tested it on very small scale. Do people want to live in urban areas and around the restaurants and bars and nightlife and all of that? And the answer is yes. Not everybody wants to.
Right.
But there are enough people that do, that, the more residential you have in close proximity, the better your downtown's going to do.
Yeah.
I think.
Absolutely.
And so that's why when Lynn Beal came to me and was really playing with the idea of doing those townhomes, he asked my opinion, and obviously I was excited about it and wanted someone to do it. I said, but Lynn, it's a risk. If you build these,
we don't know.
We don't know what they'll appraise for. You're right next to a pipe yard.
Right.
I mean, that's not where you typically see people do new construction.
Yeah.
At all. And they're creative homes. So,
yeah.
People generally either love them or hate them. There's not much in between.
Yeah.
But it worked. The Duck Dynasty people bought one.
Right.
Jeff and Jessica Robertson were our neighbors behind our courtyard.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's funny.
So it was great.
So you said earlier you had a couple stories of things that didn't necessarily work out. Do you have any that you'd like to share?
Well, and I say didn't work out, maybe just didn't work out as planned.
Okay.
And Peacock is a perfect example of that. The bar never did what we hoped it would. The office side did, but that was part of the reason. That's what made the project safer. Was we knew that the bar was a little risky. One, we're turning a funeral home into a bar. There's going to be people that absolutely will not go.
Sure.
Because they had family members that,
yeah,
and
very different kind of party.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so would there be stigma? Would there, it's not in downtown. It's adjacent to downtown.
Right.
So is it a good location for a bar? Is it, and I would say it was moderately successful, but not what we hoped it would be, and so, and none of us wanted to take the lead. And so I wanted to sell it to somebody that's going to make that their baby.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's going to take.
Yeah.
And then we were able to sell the whole property recently.
Really?
And it's going to be a medical mall, if you will.
Really?
So you'll have
cool.
physicians in there, and it's going to be pretty cool.
Very interesting.
And the bar is leased to the new owner.
Right.
And he's doing well with it as far as I know.
Yeah, Gabe seems to really love it.
Yeah, he's doing good. So that's one, and then we had some tenants along the way that we hoped would work out and be amazingly successful. Sock Dollar Brewing Company. That was I bought that land and that lot. That was, I don't know if you remember it, but it's where the Matera Paper Company burned down. Big, beautiful building.
Yeah.
Burned to the ground. I think it was one of Abilene's biggest fires that we ever experienced.
And just something that you absolutely passed once a week.
Yes.
For 20 years almost.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And, that hole in the ground just sat there looking awful. Mm-hmm. I mean, it looked like a bomb went off right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Third world country.
Yeah, we were struck here.
Yes. It was, I mean, literally charred wood and brick in this hole. Right. And, so I put several proposals together to the city. They were working with the owner. I think there was a lawsuit going on because he wouldn't rehab it and get it fixed up the way they wanted him to do it. And, so it was an eyesore, and the city didn't like it, and Abilene didn't like it. And, but the owner didn't live in town and didn't see it every day like we did. And so he had incentive to sell it once the city started applying pressure. And so I submitted 2 very creative proposals, and they said no. And so I submitted a 3rd one. And my son and I created the model of the building that you saw before the Angry Cactus had it on. And I said, this is what I want to build. Sock Dollar Brewing Company wants to lease it. And if you say no, that property is going to sit there for another 20, 30, 40 years. I promise. Because nobody's going to touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
And the city kept saying, oh, well, you have to fill in that basement. Well, I don't want to fill in the basement. I want to build the building above it so that we can utilize that space under there and leave those stone walls. I wanted to blend new with the old and the history of the building.
Yeah.
And they insisted that I tear the vault out, where now the Soda District wayfinding sign is.
Gotcha.
And I was like, absolutely not. So there was a little back and forth on some of that. But what I realized is that the visual of that model made all the difference.
Really?
When you can show somebody, this is what it's going to look like. And it did. I mean, that model the building looked just like the model.
Yeah.
Me and my son did that in afternoon one Sunday. And then boom,
Wow.
2 years later, it's a structure.
Wow.
And so that was kind of cool. And you had people say, "Oh, I don't like the way it looks. It's a metal building. You should have rebuilt the paper company just like it was." And I was like, "I don't have $10 million. I have to be practical."
Right.
And this is practical, and this is better than the hole in the ground.
Yeah.
So if you don't like it, drive down another street, I guess.
Yeah.
So so we again, I put my blinders on and did my thing and ignored the naysayers and the negative.
Yeah.
And we made it happen. And Sox stayed 3 years.
Okay.
And then the brewmaster decided to move out of town, and that was it. They were done. So they didn't renew their lease.
Yeah.
And then I started working with Tim Condon. Angry Cactus has their restaurant in San Angelo.
Right.
That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. And so I showed him that and many other properties. And he kept going back to that because, like me, he's very creative and wanted to put his own spin on things. And so you can see the build out they've done is extensive.
Right.
And he gave me a tour the other day, and it's fantastic.
Really?
It's going to be like no restaurant you've ever seen in Abilene, Texas.
Okay.
So
that'll be awesome. When is it open? Any idea?
June.
June. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect time.
But very large restaurant.
Okay.
So it's going to have a 30-foot chandelier that goes all the way from the ceiling down to the basement.
Wow.
It's he's got some creative things going on, and it looks incredible when you go in there.
I think Abilene's going to very quickly get known for 30-foot chandeliers between that and the Heritage Square building. It's like, we're going to have a few winding staircases around some beautiful installations.
Yes, we are, for
Come
sure.
to Abilene, we have sky treatments for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What are things that you're looking for in a project now, kind of based on what you've learned in the past? When you're starting to kind of not necessarily just weigh risk, but also weigh kind of what's going to make you excited about it, what's going to be something that you think is really going to be a great thing to get involved in.
I've kind of just paused, and I think one of your questions asked me when did I transition from being a real estate agent to an business owner and investor. It's the other way around. Yeah. Started as the entrepreneur and doing the rental properties as an investor, and then I got my real estate license just a year and a half ago.
Really?
Really. But I was helping people find properties way before that.
Right. There's a job description of
yes,
this.
I gave away I don't know how many commissions for free. And so that's why I got my license. I was like, I should get my license, and it's been a whole other fun journey, and so 2025 was really good for me, and that's my first full year as a real estate agent.
That's exciting.
So, but I think people like that I've bought and sold for a very long time, and they trust me because I've done this for a long time. I'm not afraid. And so I think they can sense that confidence, and then they trust you. And when you're going to do what's best for your client, you're going to be a good agent.
Right.
So
I'm assuming you're also extremely good at showing them those visuals of what spaces can be, as that is typically the hardest part with commercial real estate. Everyone knows how to use a house, but nobody knows how to use a business necessarily.
Yeah.
So.
It's, and there's a lot of factors. And I have people ask if I'll look at their business plan, and I do, and I'll give them my 2 cents.
Yeah.
And, just try to help other young entrepreneurs mostly not make the mistakes I did.
There's no avoiding whatever pitfalls you're going to find. I mean, I would love to learn. I try to learn as much as I can from other people and other people's mistakes and all, but man, you can get wise, but you can't avoid your own mistakes that way.
It's rough. It is not for the faint of heart.
No.
You definitely have to have a bulldog attitude sometimes.
Yeah.
And you just have to be very determined to be successful, no matter what.
Right.
I'm with KO Lounge. The KO does not stand for, when we created that name, it's Oak backwards because it's on the back side of Oak Street.
Okay.
It later became Keep Abilene Open. We started build out for that bar,
Right.
and then boom, COVID hit.
Gotcha.
And so I own the building, and then Colby Marcy is my business partner there. We've had it open for over 5 years now, and it's been a successful little business, and I love it.
Yeah.
But we had a rough start.
Yeah.
Because of COVID. I mean, we're building out, we're spending all this money, and we don't know if we're going to be allowed to open.
Right.
And then I got really aggravated when you go to Lowe's and there's 600 cars in the parking lot.
Right.
And my little bar and all the restaurants can't be open.
Right.
That doesn't add up to me.
Yeah.
And so I was a skeptic from the get-go with all of that, and I started fighting for my business.
Yeah.
So
when it comes to seeing how many businesses you've kind of seen and worked with people, when people, I don't know, young business owners, people new to business, they have this sense of, I have to make this work. Most businesses won't work though. What do you think is a clear sign of, hey, this isn't like you're a bad person because this business isn't working. This business isn't going to work. It is a good time to maybe pivot to something else or change into a new business.
Yeah, and I have hurt some people's feelings because if you ask my opinion, I'm going to give it to you. Yeah. And, oftentimes it's, they may have a good idea, but how do you monetize that?
Right.
And that's where a lot of them lose my faith. They can't explain to me how they're going to monetize it. Oh, I want to open a yarn store. I want to open a juice bar. Okay, well, what else are you going to do in that juice bar? Just juice?
Yeah.
I can go buy some juice, same stuff, for half the price at Market Street.
Right.
So how do you set yourself apart? How do you differentiate your product or your service from everybody else in your competition? And then you can kind of tell if people are willing and eager to compete in their market, or are they going to sit back and get run over?
Right.
Or I can.
Yeah.
I can tell you better be aggressive. I better see a little bit of will to succeed.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, what do you think of my business plan? And it's like half a paragraph.
Yeah.
I was like, where's your competition analysis? Where's your projections? Where, there's no meat to it.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, if you're going to open a business, make sure it has 3 to 5 profit centers. And then sometimes they'll say, oh, well, what's that?
Right.
You're not ready.
This might be good to stay at your job for a little longer while you kind of figure this out.
Yeah. Well, and while I was building up my rental properties, I had a full-time job.
Yeah.
And I would I'd buy a house or buy a duplex, and after work and on the weekends, I was over there fixing that house up. I burned the candles at both ends. It wasn't. I grew up on Westview Street in North Abilene. I did not come from money. I didn't have money. And the first properties I ever bought was this old man that all but one of the units was vacant at the corner of North 10th and Hickory. And I didn't have any money. And he sold me those units for $23,000.
Oh, wow.
And $2,000 down. Okay. And I made him payments. And so there were 9 units there. And so I'd fix one up, rent it, and put that money back into it. And I just did that over and over and over until I had enough where I felt comfortable that we could live on it. And then I ditched the job.
Yeah.
And then I had the safety net and could go be creative.
Yeah.
So,
what do you think the average person who's wanting to get into business, what do you think their safety net should look like before they should even think about going to business for themselves?
think you should have some money saved up, have a savings, have good credit, have a good relationship with a banker that you trust and that they trust you. All those things are important. You have to have people in your corner that are going to help you in a variety of ways.
Yeah.
And me, I've always, early on, I had a banker that would kind of go out on a limb at First Bank Texas, and
Really?
yeah, I mean, she would. But if you do what you say you're going to do, which I always did, that's one thing my wife will tell you, that if I tell you I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And that's why she didn't get scared of all these projects.
Right.
We had the dream home in a traditional neighborhood over on Riverside Park.
Yeah.
I said, hey, let's buy this condemned building and I'm going to build a house in it and let's move in there.
Sounds great.
Most wives would have said, absolutely not.
Right.
But she was all about it. So,
Really?
she was moved around a lot when she was a kid. And so she didn't mind at all.
Yeah.
So it was good.
I think I was in a house for 3 years, and I was like, so when are we like moving? And my wife was looking at me like I was absolutely nuts. She's like, what are you talking about? She had like lived in the same house, born and raised in, extremely stable family. Was like, you move every few years, like you can't just stay in one space. And she was just like, no, you just stay. I was like, that sounds wild.
Well, and Pam and I move so much that people make jokes about how often we move.
Sure.
But again, that's strategic.
Yeah.
I'm a flipper.
Yeah.
I invest in properties. Oftentimes I live in those properties.
Yeah.
And the Bird Drive house, we bought this old mid-century, it was built in 1971. I called it the Cube.
Okay.
And had this sunken living room and this giant fireplace, and it had great bones, but it still had the mauve carpet and the paneling walls, and I ripped the kitchen completely out and started over, and we made it our own. And then when we moved 4.5 years later, we made a healthy profit on that.
Right.
And it was well worth that investment. We bought it right, did all the right things to remodel it, and we made a healthy profit. And that's what I do.
Yeah.
And so we don't move just to move. It's strategic. So
nice. Okay, so I'm kind of curious about picking your brain about growth that Abilene's doing, things that, I mean, since all the ADI stuff, that's really been taking people's focal point for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But Abilene's been growing and changing a lot in the last decade or two. How are you thinking about the way that Abilene's growing or changing, or things coming our way?
Yeah, I mean, that's a mixed bag. It's a double-edged sword. I mean, and we're seeing the other side of that sword.
Yeah.
I was in Washington, D.C. when it was announced that Abilene, Texas would be the Stargate project.
Yeah.
I was looking on a big screen and they said Abilene, Texas. And I was like, oh, what?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
And that was, when was that?
Oh gosh.
It was
over a year ago.
2 years ago. How long has President Trump been in?
A little bit over a year.
So it was a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
And it's the first I had heard of it. And you've seen what's happened since then. Now that one's expanding, and then there's 2 more in the area. And so we've kind of been put on the global map.
Right. People
in foreign countries know about Abilene, Texas.
Yeah.
Not sure if I like that or not,
sure.
But a little scary.
Yeah.
But the housing shortage obviously is a concern for everybody. The rent prices skyrocketing, where some of our locals can't afford to live anymore. And so, how do you balance the growth? That's the trick.
Yeah.
And even I'm on the Abilene Convention and Visitors Bureau, and Robert, the director, was saying that we're starting to lose some of our legacy events, the events that have come to our town for years and years and years, because hotel rates.
Really?
When they look at the hotel rooms and they're booking rooms for 1,500 people or whatever it is,
right?
And they've doubled. But you can go to Waco and they're still the same. Guess what happens?
You go to Waco.
They go to Waco instead. And so, you know, there's a negative side to it all. But how you balance that and navigate it, I don't know. And what's going to happen when all the workers leave, I don't know. Right. I think the housing market will flip and become a buyer's market at that point. But right now, it's very much a seller's market in Abilene.
Right.
Nationwide, I don't know. But here, there's a shortage for sure.
Yeah. Abilene is its own microcosm.
It
there's
is.
just no avoiding it. And so kind of understanding countrywide trends doesn't really help us here a lot of the time.
We never, I mean, in following real estate, we've never been on track with those trends. Yeah. You know, Abilene's never seen very sharp high growth periods or low. We've kind of always just stayed even, very gradual uptick. But now we're starting to, you know, the house prices are starting to skyrocket and catch up with the prices of the rest of the country. So, you know, that benefit of living in Abilene, Texas is going away. Yeah. And I don't know if we'll ever get it back.
So if you'd be starting a business in Abilene, say in the next 5 years, what businesses do you think that we're going to be needing more of, or maybe more successful than what's been in the past?
Man, that's a good question. You know, wouldn't open service industry business right now or here. You know, anything that medical, I think, is always, you know, diagnostic clinics and things of that nature. I think we're going to see more manufacturing coming into Abilene. You know, we've already got the cheese factory, and, you know, Abilene was always light on manufacturing and distribution businesses. So I think you're going to see more of those gravitate here because of the AI and because of the other industries that are now coming here. You know, our top employers are Hendrick Medical Center, AISD. Historically, you know, I guess the colleges and universities, so education, military, and the hospital system. But now we're starting to see other larger industries come in. But as far as new startup businesses, I'm not sure, you know, what would be ideal to put in here.
What kind of business would you be wanting to do in the future? What do you kind of have your eyes on?
I don't know. I'm semi-retired now.
Right.
You know, and part of the reason I got my real estate license is that I've kind of decided not to be so active. Really? I mean, I'll probably still invest, but do I want to still continue and open small businesses? Not right now. Not saying I never will. Yeah. But not at this stage in my life. So what I'm enjoying now is helping other people match their skill set with the right building or their business with the right property. Yeah. And that's been really fun and really rewarding, and I'm good at it. Yeah. So, and I'm a people person, so it works, and I'm gonna ride that wave until I'm not passionate about it, and then when I'm not, I'll find something else to do. So I've had very distinct chapters in my life. Yeah. So, and probably the most rewarding one so far has been the Soda District. Yeah. Just because it was so unexpected and such an unusual project that everybody thought, oh, that's never going to work. You know, and some people are still skeptical. You know, it's still just this small little area, but I have a business that's successful there and has been for 5 years. The mill has been there for 10 years. They're still going and successful. I feel like Angry Cactus is going to be very successful. So I think that's one of the projects I've been most proud of. So I always want to be a part of that. And I'm working with some of the other business owners in that area to do some things to keep uplifting it. You know, it still needs love. Yeah. And so I'll still be a part of that for sure.
Very cool. If you could go back and give kind of earlier Tim advice on when you're starting businesses, when you're starting any kind of venture, what advice would you have for him?
Know what the regulations are before you open a business. And that's where my relationship with the city has transformed.
We'll go back and add that to that question earlier. Like, hey, I'm going to tell young business owners, here is the law book.
So the biggest way I help young entrepreneurs is I tell them, hey, go to the city, ask for a pre-planning meeting. And everybody from every department that's involved will be there so that you know ahead of time, what your obstacles are, what's going to be required, so that you're not blindsided once you get started. And it's not that all these business owners and young entrepreneurs are the bad guys, but that's kind of how the city bureaucracy viewed us. Like, let's put our thumb over them. But when I bought the building for Firehouse Fitness, I was excited. I'm like, I'm going to turn this into a neighborhood fitness center. So I just got in there and started renovating. I mean, that's what I did with my rent houses.
Sure.
And, we have to do this and this and this. And, they'd come put a stop work order on my project. And, I'd get on the news and gripe about it and be very vocal. Yeah. I mean, that started with a battle with the city because I had to get it rezoned. It had been that adult daycare center for years and years.
Right.
And we had to get it rezoned to neighborhood retail. Well, the second we went to the rezoning hearings, you had the neighbors in Elmwood rising up against us. It was one neighbor, but she rallied the troops.
Wow.
And my wife, we came home one evening after a council meeting and she said, God, do you feel like we're being put on trial just because we want to open a fitness center? And I said, yeah, I do. And so by the time you get your business opened, it's better today than it was back then. But business owners did not have a happy experience with the city of Abilene. It was not a partnership or how can we help you? It's what hurdles and obstacles can we do to prevent you from opening your business?
Wow.
And with me, there was some retaliatory stuff for sure. But when Robert Hanna became the city manager, that kind of turned around. I met him the first week he came to town. Walked up, I shook his hand. I said, hi, I'm Tim Smith. And he said, I know who you are. And I said, that's exactly why I'm here. So I was the bad guy at the city of Abilene because I wouldn't conform. I would buck the system. I would, because rights of ownership still exist. And if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you better stand up for those rights. And it's okay to butt heads with people sometimes, and I was able to get some things changed and help bridge that gap between the entrepreneurs and property owners and the city. I was on planning and zoning. The same people that were putting their thumb on me, I ended up on that board, and the goal for me being on there was to try to get the city staff to understand we're not the bad guys. We're passionate about what we do. We want to make things happen that's good for our community. We need your help, not your hurt. There's so many other obstacles, and we're, statistically, we're going to fail statistically. And so we need all the city support and community support we can get, not obstacle after obstacle and making it difficult. Right. And so, I tried to help get them to, instead of saying no, find a way to say yes. And that's what Robert Hanna said to me the first time I met him. He said, I want my staff to find a way to say yes. And so I don't remember the question, but
it was just what you would tell, younger you. But I think that's
but
exactly
I
right.
didn't follow the rules when I was younger. I was, but it wasn't that I was being defiant. I didn't know the process. I didn't know that I needed to go do this and this and this and this. I learned the hard way.
Where do you think you're supposed to get that information?
Well,
I mean, who are business owners supposed to be able to say,
and
this person's going to help me?
And that's where I tell young people that want to own a business, find some mentors. not just one, not just two, 3 or 4 people that are doing what you want to do, or they've opened a business before, that you can go interview them, pick their brain, follow them around. You know, I'm mentoring a guy right now, and he's 22 years old, and I do that often if people ask. You know, I'm very willing to give my help, and none of them know, oh, I need to go to the city and ask for a pre-planning meeting. You know, and I want the city to put that out there. They should be, but they don't. You know, it's bureaucratic, and it's not. They don't view their role as needing to teach or explain the steps.
Interesting.
And so it's kind of up to the other entrepreneurs in town to take people under their wing and show them the ropes, for sure.
I've noticed that in Abilene, where it feels like what should be someone who should be your competitor ends up being a really good friend, or someone who can. I mean, business owners here in Abilene are, even to their competitors, are very helpful and open and willing to give advice. And
Sure.
yeah,
Wow.
it was something I did very early on. It was very much of like, hey, I didn't know this industry. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't have friends, parents who were in it. I was like, I need to go out and meet people who've been doing this for a long time. And
Sure.
I need to find out what they think about things, what they think I should be doing. And it was so influential on those kind of early days, and really I'm still using a lot of those conversations as litmus tests for how I need to be moving forward. So,
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Last one for you. What's kind of keeping you motivated and, moving forward in your experiences?
Well, like I said, I'm thoroughly enjoying the commercial real estate. I do residential too, but I really love the commercial.
Yeah.
And love the Abilene community. Want to still see it thrive, and so I like being part of it. It's home, and so I'm definitely invested here, and and there's a lot of other people that are too, and so it's good. We have a good community, and I love living here. Didn't always. When I was 18 years old, I couldn't wait to get out of here. So I went off to college, and then my wife and I moved to Houston for about 1.5 years.
Moving to Houston is actually one of the biggest reasons why people move to Abilene. Is like that, that will send you right back.
That's what made me decide I really loved Abilene. I did not like Houston at all.
There should be a really good dialogue between our Chamber of Commerce and Houston. It's like, hey, we're really getting a lot of these. A lot of these people, thank you.
I couldn't do the big city.
Right.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have been able to do the things in Houston that I've been able to do in Abilene.
Really?
Yeah. So it's been fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.